I'm here to talk with you about nurturing the roots of belonging. So what does it mean to belong? Feeling like you belong somewhere, like you belong with a community, you belong with an organization, you belong with your family or your friends. You belong in a place, someplace that feels like home, where you feel trusted and you trust them, where you feel heard and you hear them in return, where you feel seen and respected for who you are, and you see and respect everybody else for who they are as well. It's safe to make mistakes and to have all of your emotions, including being upset or irritated or really angry, because those roots of belonging are not going to be shaken. If anything, they'll be strengthened because you've worked it out. But it also takes practice, this sense of belonging, because we create it every day. And we don't just belong to groups of people. These communities, these families, these organizations all happen in places. They all happen on soil and with trees nearby, with flowers that offer us their scent, with bees that pollinate everything else, with water that nourishes everything. We're in relationship with all of those elements, no matter where we are, and we belong to the places. The indigenous peoples around the world will tell anyone that they belong to the land, not the other way around. That their stories, that who they are belongs to the land. And it's no different for any other human peoples. The places and the peoples are where the belonging happens. So how do we notice and how do we practice? First, how do you practice with the place? So I invite you into a practice of having a centering spot. Choose a spot about this size, about the size of a photograph, so that you don't have to turn your head around in order to get to know the spot. You're going to spend 2 minutes with your spot. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? How do you feel when you're here? And it's not a checklist. You don't have to get all of it. Whatever you notice for the 2 minutes, and make sure you time yourself using whatever you need to time yourself for 2 minutes. What do you notice? And then do it again tomorrow. And what do you notice tomorrow that may be different or the same? Do it again the next day. Do it again for a whole week. Same spot. What do you notice that is the same or different? And how are you the same or different after you've done this practice? How do you feel about your spot? The other practice is how to listen to each other and practice telling your story. This is a listening game. You will be paired with somebody, likely in a breakout room, but you can do it in person when that's possible too. But for today, do it in a breakout room. For 2 minutes, one of you is going to be a teller of a story. This is a story of something that really happened to you. It can be what you had for breakfast. It can be the story of how you arrived to school, or what you're planning to do for tomorrow, whatever it is, but it needs to be something that is true that happened for you. You're going to tell it for 2 minutes. The listener, you are listening for what is important to the teller about their story. You're listening for their tone of voice, their emotions, words they might repeat, details that really feel important to the teller. No commentary, no responses, just listen. And at the end of the 2 minutes, you're going to reflect back for 1 minute. Again, make sure you time. Reflect back for 1 minute what you heard was important to the teller. And at the end of the minute, the teller gets to respond and say, yeah, that was my story. Or you missed this, but you got most of it. And then you swap roles. And this is a practice. This is something that even if you're uncomfortable with one or the other of the roles, keep practicing. Notice why was it uncomfortable? Was it hard for you to come up with a story? Was it hard for you to stay present? Were you distracted? Notice what happens for you in both roles and practice it. Practice it once a week. Cultivating listening and seeing each other and listening and seeing these places is going to help you nurture your roots of belonging no matter where you are.